because the number one reason children are dying is due to water. So
it's the water.
It's the number one killer of our children.
God, is it really?
It's the number one.
It's
not SIDS. It's not car wrecks.
It's
not
drowning.
any of that. It's drowning.
Right? Hey y'all, this is Lita. Welcome back to the Because Adulting is Hard podcast. I have Emily Toungate here with me today, and she is actually probably the person that I know the least that I've reached out to and was like, hey girl, I don't even know if you remember me, but I remember you and I really want to have you on my podcast. Is that kind of how it went?
It is kind of how it went. Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
No problem. So you actually have an interesting story. So I would say outside of the Funky Monkey, I bought it in 2013. I would say we probably met a handful of times.
Yep.
And you told me a really interesting story and it stuck with me. And so that vulnerability is something that we talk a lot about on this show, is leading with vulnerability and the changes that you can make an impact in other people's lives while doing it. So I'm going to hand it over to you and I'm going to let you first tell me what you do. And then we're going to talk about the why first, which is going to be the hardest part, but we are going to talk about it.
That's okay.
Okay.
So my name is Emily Toungate. I am an ISR instructor. And
what does that mean?
ISR stands for Infant Swimming Resource.
Okay.
ISR has been around for nearly 55 years. Okay. It's a swim program that teaches kids how to survive in the water if they find the water alone. And we teach kids ages 6 months to 6 to 7 years of age. So depending on the age of the child, whether they learn to swim at that age or if they just roll over and float. So it's more of a survival swim class.
Okay.
So you're definitely going to learn how to roll over and float and maintain that float and breathe.
Okay.
Because the number one reason children are dying is due to water. So
it's the water.
It's the number one killer of our children.
God, is it really?
It's the number one.
It's
not SIDS. It's not car wrecks.
It's
not
drowning.
any of that. It's drowning.
Yeah, that's a hard statistic to hear. Is that kids are drowning. We're going to talk a little bit more about the program and kind of what it looks like, so people that don't know anything about it. But you came about wanting to be an instructor in a particular way. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. I was blessed to stay at home, and my husband worked, and I ended up having 4 kids.
Okay.
4 kids under the age of 4.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's intense, Emily.
And the last pregnancy, I ended up having twins.
Okay.
So I was blessed with these boy-girl twins. So I had 3 boys and a little girl. And unfortunately, tragedy struck my house. August 14th, 2007, I was putting the twins in the bathtub, Marcus and Mallory. I just fed everybody dinner. I was waiting on my husband to get home from work.
All the things that moms do.
All the things, all the distractions and everything. I put the twins in the bathtub.
And how old were they?
They were 13 months old.
Okay.
Both of them were definitely Mallory. Mallory was toddling and walking a little bit. Marcus, not so much yet. So I put them in the bathtub. I live in a small one story house. Okay. And like what we always do, I went to the kitchen to turn over the pork chops.
Multitasking.
Multitasking. And I say this, it's not really the first distraction that gets you. It's kind of the second and the third distraction, because my intention was to go in the kitchen, turn the pork chops over, and go back to the bathtub. Mm-hmm. Then I got distracted with something else. Then, one of my kids asked me a question. And so then it's that second and third distraction that I think really kind of hits home. So I got distracted.
So what do you think the timeline on that was?
Anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay. And I mean, I can tell you, I have walked away from my children in the bathtub for longer than 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah. I mean, if I look back on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So obviously came back and Mallory had slipped under the water. So we ended up losing her. They were not able to get a heartbeat. So she passed away. I'm educated, went to college, I'm diligent. I watch my kids. I
absolutely.
I don't do any of those things, but yet something so simple as walking to the kitchen and just doing one task turned into 2 tasks, then 3 tasks. And then before I knew it, it was too late. So, difficult time of my life.
I would say.
Yeah.
And how old were your other children?
Let's see. They were 4 and 3.
Girl. Yeah. I can't imagine.
Yeah. So that's what happened to me in 2007. Obviously, it took me a while to get my life back in order, put one foot in front of the other, just
breathe,
continue on with
right?
life.
Absolutely.
Right. So about 2 years after Mallory passed, we were blessed with another girl.
Okay.
So we had another girl, and not until she was about, I want to say she was 15 months old, somebody called me and told me that there is this swim program in Friendswood.
Of all places,
of all
right?
places.
Yep.
The swim program that teaches kids how to roll back and float if they should fall in the water or something. And I was just like, what? And so I called the local instructor.
Absolutely.
Her name is Araceli Merkel.
Okay.
She's still teaching to this day. She got me in, and I watched Brinley my daughter, go through the first week of lessons. And at the end of it, I just looked at Araceli and I was like, this is my calling. This is what I need to be doing.
For sure.
You know, spiritual person. I feel that God puts you in certain situations. You never know where that's going to lead us. I would have never thought that I would be in the swim industry or teaching kids how to swim.
What was your degree in?
Sports management,
Right.
kinesiology.
So,
So it's not too
it's not too
far-fetched.
far-fetched.
I was a big gymnast.
Okay.
So gymnastics and cheer was kind of my background. You know, not swimming
But
at
again,
all.
God, we have a saying on this board, on this show. Sometimes God sends you a billboard, and you're like, "Oh, okay, God,
Yeah,
I got
exactly,
it." Yeah,
exactly. You know, as soon as Mallory passed away, I knew I wanted to do something.
Oh,
And
I mean,
just-
that's the
just
healthy
didn't know.
mindset. That's our coping mechanism. I've got to do something. I've got to do something to
Yes.
just continue to put one foot in front of the other.
Yes. So that's how I learned about ISR
Okay.
and what I do now. So I ended up putting my daughter through the class, and she ended up, knowing how to swim and roll over and
So
float.
let's talk about that now.
Okay.
So now that we know about the why, I mean, that's y'all. I mean, it's the number one. That's a phenomenal statistic. The number one killer of children is drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Drowning. And so this program, it's a pretty intense schedule. So let's talk about what it looks like and what parents have to kind of commit to when they're doing it.
Yeah, the program is about 6 weeks.
Okay.
So it depends on if your child is of swimming age, which is when they're walking.
Okay.
Or if they're of just a roll back to float, which is a child that's crawling, not yet walking.
Okay.
It takes about 6 weeks to teach the skill. So what do I mean by the skill? So a young infant under the age of 1, they're going to learn just the basics of any position they find themselves in the water. They're going to roll over to their back and breathe. And they're going to maintain this posture until someone comes and gets them. If you're above the age of 1 and you're walking, then you're developmentally ready to learn the actual swim. So we do teach kids how to swim. A lot of people think we just teach them to float.
No, right.
But not at all. We do teach the kids how to swim using their arms and legs, kicking. They still are going to learn the roll back to float because that's our survival.
Okay.
But then those kids are going to flip back over and continue swimming until they get to the edge and can successfly pull themselves out of a
At
pool.
1 year old.
Yeah.
That's impressive, y'all. I mean, that's impressive.
It's neat to watch.
Yeah, it is. I've seen a girl on my roller derby team, her daughter, I mean,
Yeah.
she might have been 3 the first time I saw her do it. I was like, that chick can swim. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she can
Yeah.
she can full swim.
Oh, yeah.
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 And so what does that training process look like? What is somebody committing to?
Sorry, yeah,
no worries.
kind of got sidetracked there. 6 weeks is the program
Okay.
to master the skill set. You come every day for 10 minutes, and that's only Monday through Friday. We don't do weekend lessons. And it's a 10-minute lesson. Most people are like, there's no way my child's going to learn anything in 10 minutes, which is quite the opposite. The children's attention span is one thing. We're working hard in the 10 minutes. This is not a program where you're going to come and you're going to bring your toys and you sing songs and that kind of stuff. This is more, we're going to teach you the skill sets. It's a 10-minute lesson. Kids are usually fatigued by that time of the day. Excuse me, not by that time of the day, but after the 10-minute lesson, and then the lesson is over. So repetition is key. A lot of other swim programs only do once a week. The kids are in the water for 30 minutes. Right.
Which for a 1-year-old is a really long time.
It's a really long time. And not only that, the retention is not there.
Right.
So if you only go once a week or twice a week, you're just not getting the same results that you are coming Monday through Friday for 10 minutes.
Okay.
So the commitment is, I'm not going to lie, it's hard to do.
That's an intense commitment, yeah.
Yes, it's 6 weeks, but
one life though.
If you had a life insurance policy that said, hey, if your child finds the water alone, at least they have this, would you not buy it? Would you not get it for your child?
Every time you would. Yes.
So now listen, it's not foolproof. There still needs to be pull gates and alarms and supervision, but it is a layer of protection, and it does at least create an opportunity for the child to at least save themselves, and then the parents can get there and do something. I honestly believe Mallory would still be here. If she would have known what to do.
Right, because
I just don't think she knew what to do.
No, they don't. I mean, they're smart enough to pull up. They're smart enough to stand. She didn't have the schema. She wasn't trained to know what to do. And I agree with that, because anybody that's had a child from the age of 6 months to a year, the growth is astronomical. So what they're learning with some training is so intense.
Yeah.
That I think they can learn that. So at the end of the program, one of the things that I think is really awesome is that, I mean, wouldn't it be ideal if every kid fell in the swimming pool in their swimsuit, and they needed
that would be ideal. Yeah.
It would be ideal, right? And they just made it work. But that is not how it happens.
Unfortunately, not. 75% of the accidents occur when children are not prepared to fall in the water, which means they're in regular clothes. They're not in a swimsuit. So
and their shoes and their clothes are heavy.
Correct. Diaper. So what we do is during the 6 weeks, you're actually learning the skills in a swimsuit.
Okay.
The last week of lessons, when you have mastered the skills, then we start testing you out in what we call clothes. Okay. So we start off small. We do just regular pajamas or something like that, regular diaper. And then we build up to more substantial winter clothes, tennis shoes, hats, whatever you want to put on the kid. Because the kids don't know that they can do their skills in all these clothes.
Right.
But I need to show them that they still can.
Okay.
It is under no circumstances is it ever a just toss you in the pool and hope for the best.
No, right. No, absolutely not.
So under no circumstances, not anything like that. So, but we do test out in clothes. And before we consider them skilled or graduated, whichever word you want to use, we make sure that they can do the full skills unassisted without an instructor coming in and having to save them or help them along.
Okay.
So when you're done with the program, your child should be able to self-rescue, swim, and that kind of stuff. It may take 7 weeks. It kind of just depends on the child.
All kids are different, right?
I've had some that get it quicker than 6 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. And then, so once they've done this 6 weeks course, there's a refresher. You do offer a refresher, correct?
Yes. So once you're done with the 6 weeks, let's say your child's 2,
okay,
and they've done the 6-week commitment, they know how to swim, roll over and float, and continue swimming again. Then we recommend that you keep refreshing their skills. It's just like anything else. If you don't use it, you lose it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, but swimming is a muscle memory, just like riding a bike.
Once you can do it.
Once you learn how to ride a bike, you don't typically forget how to ride a bike.
No, it might be a little shaky in the beginning, but
correct.
I mean, yeah.
That's the same thing with swimming and or floating.
Okay.
So it's very important, because kids grow tremendously, especially at these young ages, that they come back every 2 to 4 months and get a refresher.
Okay.
A refresher is typically 1 week.
Okay.
Okay. So once you're done with the 6 weeks, course,
right,
and they learn the full skills, you're then set on a refresher schedule. The more that the parents bring their kids to me, I'm not going to lie, the better swimmers they are.
Absolutely.
But, I recommend my families come back every 2 to 4 months and get just a refresher.
And do the parents watch when they're doing this a lot of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so at the end of it, if I have a pool in my backyard, I mean, I would have enough skill set to work with my child.
Yes. So when we get to a certain spot where the child is progressing through lessons and doing well, I actually get the parents in my pool, and I actually teach them how to launch, how to have fun with them at the steps, what to look for, some things that you don't want to do in the pool, such as walking around in a hot tub with your feet down on a step, constantly walking around a hot tub. The reason why is because that promotes a vertical posture. And the unfortunate thing is that vertical posture is the drowning posture.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything in ISR is taught horizontally.
Okay.
Because when you're in a vertical posture, young children cannot tread water.
Okay, that makes sense. So they have to be.
They don't have the skill or the strength.
They don't have the strength. It's a hard skill.
Yeah. Posture in a vertical. So unfortunately, most children try to find that posture. because they've probably been put in either
Walking
a
around the
life
hot
jacket
tub.
or a puddle
yeah.
jumper or walking around a hot tub.
Right.
Because they want to find their feet again. Right. So they go vertical. They obviously are in the open water, so they're not going to find a step.
No.
And the unfortunate part is they go under then. So ISR teaches you how to go from a vertical posture into your float and get safe so that at least you can get air and then flip back over and continue swimming. You just can't make forward momentum in a vertical posture.
Correct.
You have to put your head down, kick your arms and your legs, and that's how you make momentum.
That's part of why I wanted to have you on here, because there's so many things that go to with your program that are life skills. I mean, like you said, if I could buy an insurance policy that would prevent my kid from drowning, I would buy it in a heartbeat. I mean, in a heartbeat. So making the commitment, I know, 6 weeks, 10 minutes a day, it's a lot, but I mean, you don't need very long. It's the number one killer. It's the number one killer of children. So I am very, very grateful that you came on. How do people find you? What do they look for? I mean, are you enrolling classes right now?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm actually going to be in the pool till about middle of October.
Okay.
And then it starts getting too cool for lessons. The best thing to do is to go to the national website.
Okay.
Go to infantswim.com.
Okay, because there are people that watch the show that aren't local, and
That
we want you to be safe too.
Right, right. So we're all over the
Okay.
United States. So what I recommend is going to the national website, infantswim.com, putting in your zip code and pulling up the closest instructor to you and reaching out to that instructor. If you're in this area, there's plenty of instructors around here. We're actually fortunate to have a lot of instructors.
Okay.
I'm in Pearland. There's 3 other girls in Pearland. There's 2 now in Friendswood,
But
League City.
location is key, because if you're going 10 minutes a day, I mean, you want to.
Yes.
I mean, you want to be in close proximity to your home.
Well, it's
work.
very interesting because I started a new session this morning. I was in the pool this morning, and the lady came to me, and she's driving every day from Galveston.
Girl, I believe it. I believe from this podcast, you'll hear more of that. I mean, we would like them, but it's I mean, it is a big thing. I've heard it more than once, and I had no idea the statistic was that it is the number one. I mean, it wouldn't occur to me.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. We're trying to get this changed with legislation with the American Academy of Pediatrics, but you go to your pediatric appointment with your 9-month-old, and they ask you, is he or she sleeping on her back? There's no crib bumpers, right? There's no stuffed animals or blankets around. Do you have the 5-point harness on the car seat? And I'm like, no one's having the conversation about the number one killer.
Hello, that's a problem. That is a problem.
No one is asking that question.
Right.
That needs to change.
And using platforms like this and having people like you who come, I mean, you don't, because adulting is hard, comes out of a raw place for me too. And so you bring people on the show that speak truth and are making an impact on other people. And that's what you're doing. You're literally taking what was probably the lowest, I mean,
by far.
The lowest points in your life, and impacting, and even looking at legislation that's impacting all of our children.
Yeah.
That's huge, Emily. I appreciate you so much, and we will get all your contact information on the link here, and I would love to have you back on and do a refresher on this, and we can talk a little bit more about it. So thank you so much. And you have anything else?
No, I guess the only thing I didn't mention about my website, I'm at isrpearland.com. So if someone's in the Pearland, Friendswood, Alvin, close by area, they can definitely go to my website, which is ISR Pearland.
And we are going to put all of that link straight to you.
Swim. Yeah.
And people, I'm sure, I mean, I messaged you randomly through ISR Pearland and was like, hey, I got a question for you. I'm sure you would be willing to answer anybody's questions and even help them find somewhere close to them or things like that if they needed. Yeah. Because it's obviously about knowledge and helping children as well as a business. So any other thoughts?
No, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks, y'all. And remember to live happier, because adulting is hard.